What is Prog? What even is it? Every month I get Prog magazine shipped to the office, and every month somebody there's like, Prog, what is that? I don't even know. And in the 3 months that I've been doing my YouTube channel, I've even been getting more of those kind of responses like, what even is that? So today, in the Prog Corner, we are going to be putting together an imaginary starter kit for someone if they just wanted to explore Prog. What would be the 12 albums that you would list for people to explore if they weren't familiar with the genre? So I put together a beginner's guide to Prog, 12 albums that I would suggest to anyone. Now, these are not the 12 proggiest of all the albums out there. These are not the 12 most commercial albums out there. I'm kind of splitting the difference. These would be excellent starting points for anybody within a band's discography, but also excellent starting points for somebody that's not familiar with the genre at all. I'm going to do them in chronological order. Most of these will be, of course, from that golden era, but I've got a couple of modern choices on here, and we're going to start with 1969. And yeah, if you want to get somebody into Prog, you might as well share with them the very first Prog album of all time. Yeah, it's in the Court of the Crimson King. And it is a challenging record. This might be the most challenging of the 12 that I picked. But you can't talk about prog rock without this album being front and center in the discussion. It might scare people off a little bit. Maybe this wouldn't be the first album that I would recommend, but it is in the 12 and we're doing this chronologically. So yeah, that's one. Next up, a couple years later, Aqualung. Yeah. This is probably a great entry point because it's got the hits with Cross-Eyed Mary, Locomotive Breath, the title track, but it's very proggy as well. This would be an excellent entry point for somebody who wasn't familiar with the genre. This is a fantastic album. You guys know it. You know what I'm talking about. Next up, from 1971. Also, I'm thinking the Yes album would be a real good place for people to start. We don't have a sidelong epic here. You've got 4 big songs, but they're in that 10-minute range, so it's digestible. The music here is pretty accessible. There was even a hit on this, so this is a really good entry point for people. 1972. Yeah, I got to pick something from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And this one here is a really, really great way for people to learn what they are all about. Again, the songs are not, there's no Carnival 9 or Tarkus, so the songs are a little shorter. The production's amazing. There's some shorter tracks to get people hooked, like From the Beginning and The Sheriff, that are kind of poppy. But yeah, Trilogy, definitely. My 5th pick. From 1973, yeah, we don't need to talk a whole lot about Dark Side, but yeah, if you're trying to put together a beginner's guide to Prog, this needs to be in the conversation. It's the biggest selling Prog album of all time by a landslide. Some people may not even consider this Prog, and that is perfect because you're trying to put together a starter kit for people, right? So this would be a good way to get them in. All right, next up. How about Supertramp? Yep, let's do a little crime of the century. This fulfills a lot of the same requirements in that it's not a super challenging album. There were hits on here. The songs are shorter, but it's super progressive. And this would be a good way to get people into it, I think. I love it. I love Supertramp. That's their best album by far. Another band that I absolutely adore. And yeah, we're going to go with Trick of the Tail. Some people find Peter Gabriel's vocals a little off-putting. Phil Collins is a voice that people will recognize. So if you're trying to, put together this beginner's guide, I think maybe Phil Collins' Genesis, might be a good way to get people into it. From there, they could explore the Peter Gabriel era if they want, or they could go the other way and go into the pop direction. But we're trying to put together a starter pack of prog. Okay, what's up next? That same year, Kansas put this out. And again, it's very proggy. It's got a lot of great songs, but shorter tracks, hits. This is a fantastic album. I actually prefer their debut a little bit, but if I were, to try to put together a starter kit, I'm putting Left Overture in there. Definitely, absolutely. All right, we're done with the 70s. I've got one entry from the 80s. Again, if we're putting together a starter kit, Rush is, along with Pink Floyd, probably the two biggest names in the prog sphere. This is their biggest album. It had their biggest hit, Tom Sawyer, but Limelight and Red Barchetta and YYZ. You can't go wrong. Again, we're putting together a starter kit for people. A beginner's guide to prog. Now we get into the modern era, and I got 3 picks from the modern era, right? 1, 2, yeah, I picked 3. From 2009, let's go with Transatlantic, The Whirlwind. Reason being is that it's a great album, but also from this, you can go off and explore Neil Morse's work with the Spock's Beard, his solo stuff. You could go check out Royna Stalt's work with the Flower Kings and Capa and the Tangent, etc., etc. You could check out Mike Portnoy's work with Dream Theater, or you could take a look at Pete Travala's Marillion stuff. You just can't go wrong. So The Whirlwind is a great album, 79 minutes, 1 track, but it could actually be a gateway to some of the other modern prog bands out there. That's why I picked it, primarily. Next up, I am going to 2014. Big Train. We're going with Folklore. I adore this album. I think it's got a nice blend of modern and old. It sounds vintagey, but it sounds modern. So this could be a really good way to get people into modern prog. R.I.P. Dave Longdon. I love you. I love this band. And my final selection to get people into prog, my starter kit, my beginner's guide to prog. Hand Cannot Erase from 2015, Steven Wilson. I almost went with the Raven, but I think this, again, we're talking about trying to lure people in, and this one's got the shorter tracks, like the title track and A Perfect Life, but it's got Home Invasion, it's got Ancestral, it's got 3 Years Older. This, to me, is the best thing Steven Wilson ever did. He is obviously the biggest name in modern prog right now, so including him just kind of seems like a no-brainer. So those are the 12 albums that I would pick for a newbie. I'm counting on you guys to blow up the comments. I really want to hear what you would do. What would be your starter kit, your beginner's guide to prog? I want to hear about it. Those are the 12 I picked. Anyway, obviously I was bored today and I wanted to shoot a video real bad, but I wasn't prepared. I didn't even turn my fancy thing on. My on-air light's not even on, I'm a disaster today. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you, all of you, for tuning in, for making this channel grow. I am super happy and totally in your debt. We're almost at 750 subscribers. We're going to be at that 1,000, 1K by May. We're going to get there. And it's because of you guys. I love you. I'm Scott from the Prog Corner. And I'll see you freaks later.